Hello Prospectors, OSG here with another quick and dirty video. I was lucky enough to get a closed beta 1 key from one of my favorite hunt streamers, Rakta. Rakta, shout out, big fan, and shout out to Crytek. Hunt is definitely still one of my other favorite games. But since then I've put in about 1,500 hours into the cycle. I've seen some of the best, I've seen some of the worst, and this is my 2-week review of Season 2. I wanted to give it enough time to really dive into Season 2, look at the changes that were made, what the new season brought, and then also what they've done with some of the glaring issues that's been around in Season 1, but some of them that's been around all the way back since closed beta 1. I love this game. I put a lot of time in. I still feel it has tons of potential. Some of my friends dipped in as well from the hunt community and gave up pretty soon because of some of the glaring issues. With Season 2 being 2 weeks in right now, I think the game in short is in the best space that it's ever been, as it should be over this time, and there's many reasons to come back. There are still nuances that need attention, of course. Everything is a work in progress, but hats off to Jaeger, they are getting there piece by piece. So let's get into the full review. We'll make a couple of pit stops throughout the review while also trying to answer the question, is Cycle Frontier worth it? First up is, with the success of Closed Beta 1, Closed Beta 2 brought in a big influx of new players, especially some of the big streamers and big boys in the industry. We saw the likes of Shroud, we saw the likes of Summit, and also Sacriel coming to check out the game. Unfortunately, due to the growth in popularity, it also brought the cheater epidemic, which became rife in Season 2, so much so that it drove a lot of these big boys away, because it literally spoiled the game. With a clip here in the background, this is a clip from Shroud playing, where he actually mentions that this could be one of the best games of the genre, or the Fortnite of this genre, if they could get a handle on the cheaters. Many of these big boys stuck it out for a while, but indefinitely gave up at some point, just because again you would lose everything, your progression, to some idiot using hacks, and it became very clear that this would be the downfall of the game and should be the #1 priority to really get the cycle to pop off in the potential that it had.
Oh my god, I just got beamed. They're on the rock.
Wow.
Oh my god, I died so fast. Oh, he's cheating. He's cheating.
Holy
He's cheating.
shit.
Run.
Oh,
run.
Ooh,
Run.
Are you sure?
There can be only one.
In my opinion, the biggest win so far in Season 2 has been just that. Jaeger has beaten the cheaters, and I hope they stay ahead of the curve. With the addition of a trusted queue system through Steam lobbies, Hyperion helping with the anti-cheat, ping locking, and then gating some of the later content and maps behind quests, I have personally not seen one cheater that was very apparent in Season 2. I did receive one cheater compensation package on day 2, which also made sense because I was still on the earlier maps, but not one since then, nor has some of the biggest streamers in the category. I know Chap has said multiple times that he's not had one cheater this season. So this is a tremendous win. Again, hats off to Jaeger. I hope they can stay ahead of this, because this was really one of the biggest things that brought the game down in Season 1, and I believe still affecting people in Season 2 that were burnt in Season 1 that hasn't come back. But this is one of the biggest reasons to come back and to try the game, because you can actually experience it now without, again, some dickhead using hacks with a small PP. So Jaeger, again, congrats. Cheaters, suck it. Then we move on to the second biggest star of Season 2, which of course is Tharis Island. In the background here is when I finally unlocked Tharis Island. All in all, I did pretty well. I got there day 2. I did lose a couple of hours on day 1, and I decided to go Karlev, which a lot of people think is a mistake because there's more missions to get done. It wasn't really that bad at all. There are a few things I hope they do change in future, mainly Karlev's lack of a good mid-tier gun at mid-tier 10 compared to the other factions. But all in all, I got here pretty fast, and was happy with the route that I took because I had so many scripts for further upgrades in terms of my stash and my save pocket. So here we go. I'm landing in, and this is my first job and my first experience on Tharis. And so the fun began, figuring out and unlocking the secrets of Tharis Island. And I gotta say, what a pleasure it was. The first couple of days on the island was amazing. Figuring out how it works, how to work my way from the outskirts into the center, into the forge, into the descent. The map is so different from the previous two maps, and although it seems smaller, you gotta realize that a big portion of it is underground. But before we get too deep, let me just say that Tharis is absolutely beautiful. From all the nooks and crannies, from the outside leaning inside, the Osiris compound, the Karlev compound, the beaches, the Karlev docks, it is all a feast for the eyes. When you get deeper, of course, it gets a little bit darker and things take a little bit of a turn, but even down there, it looks amazing, as you'll see in the upcoming footage. Again, well done Jaeger, and well done to Tez and the map design team and the art team. It really does look incredible. Is it perfect? No. Will it be with time? We hope so. There are some issues in terms of sound and verticality once you go deeper down, but all in all, I've had a blast. In the first 2 days, I bumped into so many people on the island that also got there early that were just so blown away by this new spectacle. We had forge parties, we went exploring together. I think at one point there were 7 of us exploring the forge, just figuring out how everything works and going, wow, have you seen this? Have you been there? So thank you, Jaeger. It's good fun, and I know with time, like most things that you've done, you will perfect it and it will become even better. So of course it comes as no surprise that this honeymoon period of everybody being friendly on the island didn't last too long.
Oh, friendly, bro.
Yeah, friendly too, friendly true. I gotta find the cranes. I got 2, I need 1 more, these big machines. It's a Karlev mission.
I'm not sure, man. I'm doing ICA, so...
Alright, good luck, brother.
I can try and help you if you want.
Nah, that's alright, I can just knife running it, dude. Go for it. Go for it. Appreciate it, though.
I know where to go.
I know.
If you want, I can take it. I have a quest and stuff.
Alright, sure. Come with me then.
I have to get spine back. Don't touch that.
Fucking asshole.
Yo!
What's up? Got a lot of stuff behind me, careful.
What up? Yeah, he's someone in front of you as well.
Oh yeah? Is it you? Hello?
Oh no, that's a dude. He has an
Are you
answer.
friendly, guys?
I am
We're
friendly.
the friendliest people around.
I am just looking for a medical box. That's all.
Do you need a heal?
No, I need the green. I need 1 more green box for a quest.
Oh, I'll give it to you. I have 4 in my inventory.
Oh, you are so kind, guys.
Bro, you're gonna
Good to see kind people like this.
need those boxes, man. You're gonna need like 45 later on for stash and safe pocket upgrade. Keep them. I need 1 more when I'm done. Yeah, dude. You want to keep them. Do you guys need help with anything? Okay, I guess not. Not friendly.
I
Are you friendly? He's got a box. Can I have it? Word to the wise, then still keep your wits on the island. Don't turn your back, and if anybody offers to help you, let them lead the way to make sure you don't get sprayed. Later on the island, I had another pleasant encounter. I met up with 2 of my favorite streamers, Bamba and Flex. Flex was actually kind enough to let me try on his alien vision helmet, which is one of the things that you can craft in the forge, which I'll get to later. Thank you, Flex. Great bumping into you. Big fan, as well as Bamba. Keep up the good work. Love your streams. Unfortunately, a couple minutes later, I end up killing Bamba in a raid. Bamba, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you, bro. But then the circle of life is a beautiful thing, and later on, when showing one of my mates around in the atrium, this happens and I get killed by two of my other favorite streamers. As I said, I've been having a great time in Tharis. Exotic brute, I'm dead here. Oof. It was Chap and Afflict. One of the things that I loved most about the island from the get-go was the amount of items that you could get without heading into the Storm Pillar. There were so many quest items to get when you went around the car 11 camping where I am here, and the Osiris side. You could literally pick up 5 to 6 of one thing and dip in and out twice because the island is so small, and rapidly complete your quests and get even further down your quest line. However, it did become very apparent over the next couple of days that the deeper you delved into the Storm Pillar and the Forge, you were heading into an infested rat nest of Maelstrom and Bulldog campers waiting for you in dark corners, finger on trigger, ready to take your shit. It became very clear that this would ultimately be the meta of the map in its current form unless some changes were made going forward. It also highlighted some of the clearer problems that the game had in terms of gun balance and armor, especially when it comes to things like shotgun and close quarter combat, jumping around like crazy and so forth. I made peace with this fairly quickly because one of my goals for this season was to get better at PvP and especially also at close combat. Now of course, it's not fun losing all your shit to some wanker sitting in a dark corner and not doing anything, but this has then brought forward the discussion that has allowed some of the tweaks that have been in the patches over the last couple of weeks to combat some of these things, especially when it comes to gun balance and armor, which I'll discuss as the final point of this video. This ready playstyle then had a further knock-on effect where it deterred a lot of people from actually using the Forge, because again, some of the entry points to the Forge are pretty dark, some of them are pretty simply dual entryways in and out, easy to camp, and again, some worker in a corner with a shotgun could easily take your hard-earned Forge gear that you might have spent an hour or two grinding for. But the Forge also had its own problems. Within, I think, the third day, a lot of bugs came forward with the new items from the Forge. If you're not familiar with them, you can upgrade blue items all the way to legendary items in the Forge with the right materials. This is also why spending time in the Forge or mining these items in the Forge became so popular, because it was very lucrative to sell these items to vendors, similar to the old focus crystal runs in closed beta 1, but in a way even stronger. So what then happened with the Forge is Jaeger took the Forge offline for a couple days as they were looking into these bugs and slowly restored some of them over the last couple of weeks, and the only one I believe that is still not working or is still not active is the Alien Vision Helm, which is what got most people's back up from the start because it's pretty much a wall hack helmet with limited visibility in terms of range. I've seen people play with it, and yes, it is a big advantage, but again, the work that you need to do to get that helm, it's not like there's 15 million of them on the street. I think if you can earn it, you know, you've paid your dues for it. Could it be pulled back a little bit? Yeah, maybe, but again, you need to be rewarded in this game for the grind that you've done. A part and parcel of a looter shooter or any type of game where there is epic loot is the power fantasy, and if it's not there, you don't feel rewarded, then what's the point? And again, when we come to the last piece in the video in terms of gun balance and armor balance, this also rings true there. What is the point of me grinding 10, 15, 20, 50 hours for a set piece or to get in a position where I can make it happen, to then lose to somebody in gray gear or blue gear that can two-shot me with a starter weapon? So as I said, there's definitely some problems that still need to be addressed with the game as a whole, yet it is in a better state than ever. I am very confident that the Forge items, again, will be set right in the upcoming days and patches as it has been, and the Forge items are very powerful. Again, you can stack multiple things like health regeneration, you can stack getting extra health on your stims, you can stack stemming faster, you can have extra armor, you can have more stamina. These are but to name a few. So there's a lot of potential here for endgame play, and I believe as soon as more changes are made in terms of gun balance, more people will start using the Forge, and again the gear will be worthwhile to run. If we look back at Closed Beta 2, which also had a lot of problems, but for the longest time there was no use to run any armor greater than blue, because anything above purple and exotic literally was one more bullet to kill you than the blue, which was way easier to get. And if that happens again, it just stagnates the power ceiling and it reduces a lot of fun out of the game. So again, specifically, these are some of the changes I know everybody wants to see. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself when we come to weapon balance and armor. When it comes to general questing and progression, I think things are a lot better than they were in Closed Beta 1, Closed Beta 2 and Season 1. And the reason for that is, look, we're always going to have limited quests. If you look at the bigger picture, it's always going to be go fetch, go kill, deposit at, and drop off, and that's pretty much it. So adding some variety of that, of course, is going to be hard. But what has been nice in terms of Season 2 is a lot of the quests that you do prepare you to make the next quest easier, whether it is a better armor piece or a better gun. And especially with the addition of Tharis Island, like I said, getting to the island fast, and because there are so many good items for your standard quest for map 1 and 2 on the island, I just spent most of my time there, unless I had specific quests where I needed to go to a certain place on one of the previous maps. So for me, it wasn't a big problem at all, knowing where to get things and pretty much doing it really quickly. Now, of course, look, it's going to feel a little bit repetitive if we take in consideration all the factions and again these limited quest lines in the bigger sense of the word. And yes, it can get tedious when you need to collect 20 green medical boxes for a quarters upgrade, and then another 25 for another quarters upgrade or for a quest, and especially if you then have another quest at another faction for a similar item. But the good news with this also is, for most of these quest lines, you need to do it once and then you have it done for a season. And as I said, part and parcel of my goal for Season 2 was to get better at PvP, but my focus for the initial grind was to set myself up for that, meaning that I would focus to get the guns and the things unlocked that would help me do that more proficiently, faster. Blue stims, the core, and so forth. So general questing as a whole feels a lot better, and I do believe it's a lot simpler than ever before. So with general questing feeling a bit easier, of course that is going to roll over also to general progression. In terms of general progression, I played really hard the first week, but most people are completing all upgrades within 2 weeks. Now again, these are your 1%, your no-lifers, your top streamers. So I think for casual, you have at least 3 weeks to 4 weeks of good content in front of you as you learn the game. As you can see here, Osiris, I've pretty much done everything. I have stims unlocked, loose stims, I have dungeons unlocked, I still gotta get the Basilisk. Core live, I'm pretty much done all the way. I think I still need to complete the last quest in the drill, but I can craft drills. Off the top of my head, I'll put it in now. I think ICA, I still have to unlock quite a bit. I have not done a lot with them. I did the least of them actually, but with them too, I think the Brood is next to me. Yeah, there it is. So Brood is next, and then finishing wall pumps. So again, a lot of content for a seasoned player and also a new player. Again, considering it's a free game, there is a lot to do to keep you busy, which is great. Stopping then at the last stop here, looking at my daily crate, level 8, not being blown away by my RNG luck so far this season. I mostly get blues. I would normally get a purple at least once every other day. One of the areas that definitely still feel unrewarding though, I would say, is quarters upgrade past level 8. You don't really get a lot of bang for your buck, and should you be mad enough to unlock all your quarters like Spuddy did in Season 1, you don't really get rewarded for it. I know in terms of seasons, Jaeger has said quite a few times that they like games like Path of Exile and their seasons, and they do it really well. And Path of Exile will give you something unique or seasonal unlocks to chase, whether you get a trophy in your hideout that you can keep for the next season, but there's something specific. So there is a lot of people that hope that they do look into this. It could be as simple as a unique skin, or something you can keep going into the next season. I think that'd be a great addition, and something a lot of people will welcome. So one more stop before we wrap up, and I believe this one to be the most important one, which is weapon and armor balance. It's also the most tricky one to balance, because again, the challenge is that you want to get the balance right where new players have the space to grow in the game and don't immediately get stomped or get frustrated, but at the top end too, that you still want to have your players that put in the time and that grind feel rewarded for their play, and to get a happy medium. Now this is something that's very difficult to do. We've seen it in many games, and I believe this is going to be the crux of the game and how successful it is moving forward. Again, this is a looter shooter, and ultimately it's an FPS, and if the shooting does not feel good, the game will not be fun, because when it's all said and done, that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to PvP and how good the shooting is. Once your grinding is done, once your things are unlocked. If the Jaeger can nail this, and I really hope with time they do because it is so tricky, I see the game having a very bright future. In terms of Season 3, if they can release an amazing global event, that'd be great. Of course, we're not going to get a new map every season. That's ludicrous to think so. On top of a great global event, if they can add new mobs, which I know that is coming. It's also been great in this season where mobs now roam, so it's not as easy to predict where somebody comes from. Still in general location, but there's a bit of movement, and especially for the campers, if you're just sitting in a bush and Jeff roams past you, he's gonna let you know to move. So in terms of Season 3, again, as I said, if there can be a great global event, if we can have some new mobs, and especially also if we can have some new weapons. Karlev is a sticky point. There's no real good mid-tier weapon for Karlev between the Maelstrom and the KBR. You're pretty much stuck at around level 8 to level 14. We desperately need something at 11. And then again, all of this coming back to how good the weapon and armor balance feels, based on what we've mentioned before. My 2 cents is, you got to balance this in a way that is challenging enough for new players, but that they don't get frustrated. And a rising tide raises all ships. If something is too easy, you're going to get frustrated and bored too. But if you master something that's tricky, if you put in the time and you learn and it's gripping, it's so much more rewarding. Fighting games come to mind. The first time that you try to do a 40-hit combo, you're like, what? Your fingers are dumb, you can't memorize it. But if you break it down enough, you get there. So in terms of weapon and armor balance, I do hope that Jaeger listens to the community, and especially their top PvP killers that are in the community, the likes of Chap, the likes of Afflict, the likes of Flakes. You know, there is a joke going around that the guy that balances the weapons is a League player, not an FPS player. I believe Spuddy has made the point to a lot of times that armor should be impactful, and it doesn't have to feel, it shouldn't feel like you're just wearing a different color t-shirt. So getting this right will take some time. Jaeger are making steps in the right direction. In fact, a patch was released yesterday to address this. I look forward to getting on after this video and feeling it out for myself. But this is now the crux of the game. Cheaters have been taken care of. If you make the shooting feel good, if you get this balance right, if you keep listening to the community and keep making tweaks, I believe the game, with everything that we've seen and where we are now, has a very bright future. If you stuck around till the end, I appreciate you and I hope the video was helpful. So let's wrap up. At the beginning, I said I would do a review video, which we've now done, and I said I will also try to answer the question, is this game worth playing and coming back to? And from my perspective, it's a resounding yes. I gotta give Jaeger credit. They've really weathered the storm. They've gone through a lot of ups and downs to get where they are now. And they're still making improvements. Last night while I was editing the video, Shard came back to play for a sponsored stream, and it was also great hearing him ask, Has this been implemented? Yes. Has this been implemented? Yes. So Jaeger have done a ton of work to make sure that the game stays alive, improves and grows, and I'm all for it. If you haven't picked it up yet, pick it up. There is a learning curve. It's well worth it. Things keep getting better, and you can be on the island within 8 to 12 hours depending how you play. Is the game perfect? No, of course not. But again, as I've mentioned countless times of the video now, I've got to give Jaeger credit for always coming back to the grinding stone and making things better, and that gives me even more hope for the future of the game, but also looking at what they have delivered and the improvements that they have made. I gotta be honest, at some point they did lose me. I kept playing, but I lost faith, and that in Season 2 has been restored, and I'm sure down the line it will revert again, but I feel that the board has been set, and I'm willing to roll the dice with them and to give them some credit again. On top of that, remember, this game is free, and for a free game, it is an absolute banger. Two more games that come to mind that also took some time to really flourish and take off, which I've played extensively, is Path of Exile, and then of course Hunt Showdown. Both of these games in the first 2 or 3 years of release was also not in a great state and wasn't that much fun, but the potential was there. And today, within their own genres, it's two of the best titles out there. And again, that's what I hope for in terms of the Cycle Frontier. I really hope the game continues to grow and it gets the recognition it deserves, and that Jaeger keeps listening to the community as they have been, and with time implement even more of these good suggestions that will give us an even greater game to play and enjoy. That's it for me. See you on Fortuna 3.